If you believe you will never be able to afford your own house, you are not alone. With the cost of home ownership at an all-time high, many individuals will be compelled to continue renting. This implies that these individuals will never experience the advantages of paying off a mortgage, gain from property appreciation, or take pleasure in a generally steady cost of dwelling. The days of being able to purchase a large house in a suburb, raise a family on one wage, and retire with a sizable pension are long gone. People nowadays must put in a lot of effort to realize their dream of house ownership. Look at some primary causes that make it hard for first-time home buyers to pursue a property. According to the Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis, the typical house will cost $437,000 in 2023. Despite what might seem to be extremely high home prices, many areas have seen significant drops from recent all-time highs, and prices nationwide have fallen by almost 10% since late 2022, saving home buyers a considerable amount of money on the purchase price. According to research, costs have decreased in western states like Arizona, Nevada, and California, and in major cities like Portland, San Francisco, Phoenix, and Las Vegas. Not all locations have seen a decrease in steadily growing costs, since they haven't decreased everywhere. That is a significant increase from when your parents and grandparents purchased houses decades ago. In contrast, it is important to note that the typical house cost roughly $64,000 in the 1980s. The average property appreciation has gotten out of hand, even accounting for inflation. Long-term inflation rates are not very dissimilar from national real estate values. Rising interest rates are primarily to blame for the decline in prices in many vital national markets. Still, these higher rates also result in significantly larger mortgage payments than in the past. Those cheering the rate rises are either due to an unpleasant shock or hoping prices decrease so they can finally afford the property. As it turns out, you can be better off obtaining a property for a better price with a higher interest rate, or paying a higher price for a mortgage with lower interest rates. To illustrate how interest rates affect average mortgage payments, check at some rough numbers. The monthly payment would be $1,910 if you took out a mortgage for $400,000 for 30 years at a 4% interest rate. This only includes principals and interests. Now, if you were to borrow the same amount for the same period at 6.5% interest, the monthly payment would be $2,528, a difference of over $600, equivalent to lending an extra $100,000. Making mortgage payments on a property is one thing, but being able to afford the costs of home ownership is quite another. A $400,000 property subject to an average property tax rate of 1% throughout the United States amounts to a yearly property tax bill of $4,000 for just that one property alone. What are the possibilities of things happening, in your opinion? Another significant expense you have as a homeowner is insurance. NerdWallet discovered that the typical homeowner's insurance premium is roughly $1,800 annually. Please also consider property taxes, insurance, and the monthly cost of your utilities. Consuming, cooling, power, and the internet rapidly add up. In addition, upgrades, repairs, and maintenance should be noticed. Budgeting for a new roof, water heater, and appliances is essential, since these things have a useful life in addition to others. You're setting yourself up for failure if you don't include these costs in your home buying budget. Because borrowing costs have been so cheap in recent years, many homebuyers have decided to finance their houses. Although purchasers had the money, many decided against paying cash when they could get a 30-year fixed mortgage of 3 or 4% and invest their money more wisely. However, the share of cash purchasers for homes has increased along with interest rates recently in financing. According to Money.com, 36% of all single-family condo purchases last year were made with cash. While the number of cash purchasers is increasing, it is more challenging for individuals acquiring a mortgage to compete in the market. It makes sense that house sellers prefer cash purchasers because the transaction is not reliant on the bank's funding, which is never guaranteed until closing. Cash purchasers often forego appraisal requirements, so the deal is not also subject to inspection by a qualified appraiser. Because they are wealthier and less influenced by the house's price, cash purchasers can be more competitive and offer more money for the property. Despite the historically low interest rates, many are being forced to stay in their present houses by the recent increase in mortgage rates. These homeowners might never be able to move again because selling their current home and purchasing a new one will require getting a new mortgage with a rate substantially higher than the recent record lows. If your mortgage rate is at an all-time low, you won't want to sell it and give it up, since even if you borrow the same amount, paying off the mortgage at the current interest rate will cost you hundreds of dollars a month. This is money that would have been better spent elsewhere. These people could expect significant price increases if they move into a new house. Due to historically low mortgage rates, some homeowners may decide to stay in their homes for an extended time. It's not surprising that many individuals cannot afford a home, given that the average monthly payment for a new car is $716, and the average monthly payment for a used car is $578, that is according to LendingTree. You must demonstrate financial stability to be approved for a mortgage, and lenders won't even consider lending to you if your debt-to-income ratio is too high. You must be able to pay back the cash borrowed for a property and shoulder other expenses related to home ownership. If something breaks in your home, you'll need to come up with additional funds. The price of heating increases dramatically. Ideally, your budget includes a contingency. It might not be accessible when you must pay $1,000 for a car each month on top of the long homeowner bills. If you have 2 new vehicles in your home, you can owe $2,000 or more in automotive debt alone, not to mention any other debt you might be carrying. As more people choose to work from home, this number should decline. Student loans or exorbitant auto costs are almost as devastating. This can make it challenging to make ends meet each month, let alone buy and maintain a property, as many young adults bear half the college debt. According to Ramsey's solution, the average student loan debt per borrower in 2021 was close to $40,000. Because of this debt, young individuals cannot make important financial and personal decisions. For instance, 47% of them put off purchasing a home and 40% claim that their student loans prohibit them from investing for retirement. Will they ever be able to buy a house by the time their loans are fully paid? Since the previous generation, prices have increased, but housing sizes have also increased, giving these growing prices some sense. The typical new home was about 1,600 square feet in size in the 1980s. Despite average households getting smaller, the average size of a new home is now closer to 2,400 square feet. Working from home may reduce the cost of commuting, but the money that isn't spent on gas and cars is now going toward bigger homes. Many households that have 2 people working from home may want a separate workplace to do tasks and attend meetings without interruptions. More time spent at home also requires a larger living area. It's different from how you used to be when you only wanted a little bedroom, a modest living space, and 1 bathroom. It makes sense that people would desire more accommodation, restrooms, offices, living rooms, and larger kitchens where they can prepare the majority of their meals. They need more great space to separate from their partner. Compare this to a few years ago, when most people had jobs outside the home, and the house mainly served as a place to sleep. The down payment quantity can significantly impact your monthly mortgage payment when you have high levels of debt and skyrocketing home prices. The option to put relatively little money on a down payment as a first-time home buyer is made possible by some programs, which sounds fantastic until you compare the monthly payments. It's common to need only a 3% down payment, but doing so can significantly raise your monthly mortgage payments compared to putting down 10% or 20%. A $400,000 mortgage has principal and interest payments of $2,528 per month, compared to a $320,000 mortgage, which only requires $2,023 per month. Additionally, private mortgage insurance, or PMI, is typically necessary when less than 20% of the purchase price is put down on a home. Private mortgage insurance varies in price, but you may anticipate paying roughly 1% of the total mortgage each year. These will cost you around $4,000 annually, or $333 per month on a $400,000 mortgage. You suddenly have to pay an extra $800 a month if you choose to put down payment less money on a home. How will you pay off existing debt and put aside 20% for a down payment while still making rent? The cost of purchasing a home is rising, and it appears that first-time buyers are facing a bleak future. If you don't already own real estate, buying is complicated. It would be best to have a strategy about this because of the skyrocketing cost of homes, increasing taxes, cost of utilities, insurance, and house maintenance. If you plan to purchase a property in the future, think about how to lower the transaction cost. How much an impact you can make could surprise you.